NFL season, 10 with the Texans and the last 2 with the Cardinals. Watt announces today the last 2 games of this season will end his career. Watt was the 11th overall pick for Houston in the 2011 draft. His first child, a son, was born in October. The Broncos are looking for a new head coach, and ESPN's Dan Orlovsky says Denver is the least attractive job in the league right now.
The guy that comes and takes this job, number one, has to get Russell Wilson playing at a high level. So that's a small group of what guys believe that they are capable of doing that.
Dan Orlovsky on NFL Live. Maryland tight end C.J. Dupree will transfer to Alabama, choosing the Crimson Tide over Ohio State. Sacramento Kings center Domantas Sabonis is questionable for tonight's game against the Nuggets with a right thumb injury. From hockey, St. Louis Blues defenseman Torrey Krug goes on IR today with a lower body injury. Krug will be out at least 6 weeks.
Hi, this is Max Kellerman from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. All of us here at ESPN Radio would like to wish you happy holidays and a happy new year.
If you having take problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a Chris ain't one. Hit me.
This is Canty and Carlin.
So I think it's important, Myron, for you to answer this question. What team is number 5 on the list?
Louisville. Louisville.
What team again? Louisville.
Yeah, I say Louisville, but you all
But that's not how you say it. We say Louisville. Try one more time.
Louisville. Yep. This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio. Plus, listen and watch on the ESPN app.
Well, that was hard to understand, but one thing isn't. Broncos general manager George Paton saying that it's important that whoever this team hires has a relationship with Russell Wilson, but that's kind of hard to do considering the play of this quarterback, or at least expected, will be the head coaching candidacy and who they're able to attract to that job opening. This is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Courtney Cronin, Matt Jones sitting in for the guys on this Tuesday, presented by Progressive Insurance. Let's tap in with Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter for the MMQB, to talk a little bit more about what's going on in Denver. And I go back to what George Paton said today during the press conference that was both him and Greg Penner from the Walton Penner ownership group, about how this isn't about trying to hire somebody to fix Russell Wilson. But is it not true that he does need some sort of fixing, Albert, considering how poorly this experiment has gone in year one?
Yeah, I think above anything else, getting somebody who can stand up to Russell Wilson. You sort of look at everything that he's been afforded there in Denver, and so much of it goes back to like what he thought he should get in Seattle. Whether it's the scheme, it's the office, it's the personal staff that he has there, like all these things, I think made it really complicated for a first-time head coach to try and tell him the truth about how he was playing and try to make adjustments that maybe he wouldn't be comfortable with. And so I just think a huge part of this is bringing in somebody who can stand up to Russell Wilson and tell him the truth about where he's at and build a scheme that isn't necessarily how he envisions himself, but what's best for everybody. And so I think that's why you're hearing like that they may want somebody with head coaching experience, whether that's a Jim Harbaugh or a Dan Quinn, somebody who would have the leverage inside the building to get this guy turned around and tell him the truth about where he stands, and so to me, that's the number one thing. You have to have a relationship with someone to stand up to them and to tell them the truth. But I think at the end, it's not just the relationship. It's, if you're going to fix the guy, then, you have to be able to get through to him. And if you're going to get through to him, you have to tell him some hard truths. And after what we've seen through 15 games this year, there are a lot of hard truths that need to be told to Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Greg Penner earlier today, he's a CEO of the Denver Broncos, said that the new head coach, whomever it is, will have, quote, every resource available to them. So you'd like to think that those resources would include the decision-making power over what this offense looks like. And it's not too long ago that Russell Wilson was in this class of quote-unquote scheme-transcendent quarterbacks. I'm wondering from your perspective, how did this thing go so south so quickly to where we know in 15 games in 2022 that he does need to be fixed and the offense might need to be tailored around him at a different level than it has been at other parts of his career?
I guess anybody who's come out of a complicated relationship could probably relate with it because things were complicated in Seattle. And I think like whoever was next was going to sort of bear the brunt of some of this. But, I think that's really sort of where it starts. I think Russell viewed himself as somebody who could be a Tom Brady or be a Peyton Manning, a guy who could win from the pocket, a guy who had control over the offense from the line. Part of his frustration in Seattle was they didn't play him that way. It's the whole let Russ cook thing. I think there are a lot of people in Seattle right now that feel vindicated, that felt like they were doing not only what was best for the Seahawks, but what was going to get the most out of Russell Wilson. And so I think that's a big piece of it was like he was at least going to try wherever his next stop was, he was at least going to try to do it his way, the way that he wanted to do it. And, I think we've seen what that looks like now. So that was a part of it. I think the other piece of it is the superstar treatment thing, and it's, one reason why I think a lot of people in the Seattle locker room over the years chafed at some of the things that Russell Wilson did because, forever, like, he embraced the idea of special treatment, even if he wasn't getting as much of it as he thought he deserved. Well, now going to Denver, coming in on the terms he came in on, entering that organization not as a third-round pick, but as a guy who'd been in the league for 10 years and won a Super Bowl, he got a lot of special treatment. And so, I think all of that played into why his relationships in the locker room weren't where they needed to be. As a leader, he wasn't where he needed to be. And ultimately why, a coaching staff that I think had a lot of good people on it wasn't able to, I don't even want to say wasn't able to, didn't have the leverage to push back on him the way that a Pete Carroll would. And so I think that's how things went south as fast as they did. I don't think it's that Russell can't play anymore at all. Like, I think a big part of it is that he had this image of what he would look like playing a certain way, and that was probably wrong all along. And maybe it took him falling on his face to figure that out. And you hope now that not only everybody else in the organization, but Russell Wilson himself will confront all of that.
But is that stuff fixable? Okay, so we've seen with Zach Wilson with the Jets that he lost that locker room and it doesn't look like it's coming back. Now, I know Russell Wilson has accomplished more stuff than Zach Wilson, but not in Denver. And it's one thing to have diva-esque qualities like, say, Aaron Rodgers has a little bit when you're Aaron Rodgers and winning, but when you've stunk all year, can you still be a diva and win all those people back? You think that can happen?
Well, here's the thing, right? It's not just performance. Performance is a huge part of it. It's not just performance. The quarterback's always going to make more money. The quarterback's always going to get special treatment in some ways. And the more of it you get, the better a player you have to be to show your teammates that you've earned all of it, right? And if you're going to accept it, there's a price that comes with that. But I also think it's just your locker room liking you and how important that is, and you hear stories out of Seattle of his ex-teammates, they're guys he won a Super Bowl with, have to go through a manager to get to him now. You know what I mean? Like if you're acting that way, how are you going to build the sort of relationships that you need? And one of the things that Brady and Rodgers are both really good at, and both those guys have gotten special treatment where they're at, is they've got great relationships with their teammates. So as weird as Rodgers might seem to a lot of people, the locker room in Green Bay loves him, and as distant as Tom Brady might seem to people with the celebrity life that he lives and, his marriage to Gisele Bündchen and all of that, everybody who's played with him would tell you around them he comes off as a normal guy. And so I think that's a huge piece of this, what his relationships are like with his teammates, you can come off as distant, you can come off as a superstar, as long as in the locker room you're one of the guys. And Russell Wilson's never really been one of the guys. So I think when he struggles, that makes things that much more difficult on him in trying to reel whatever it is back in and turn things around.
Courtney Cronin, Matt Jones in for Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio, talking with Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter for Sports Illustrated's Monday Morning Quarterback. So with Nathaniel Hackett out, the press conference today was general manager George Paton and CEO of the Denver Broncos, Greg Penner. Now, one thing I found interesting was that Penner said immediately he's going to be the one leading the search for the new head coach of the Denver Broncos. This would be the third head coach for George Paton. Now, obviously, Paton still has a job, but is his seat not hot right now, considering he's been a part of these past two head coaching searches, and obviously the Denver Broncos were bloviating about it throughout the offseason, flying to 19 different cities, putting out all of their candidates publicly on their website. Like, they're going to have to take a different approach here, but is that telling that he's not the one leading this search because the organization doesn't think he's going to get it done the right way?
Yeah, I mean, Courtney, I think it's definitely an important nuance that I think is smart of you to pick up on, that like he was in the press release, it did reference George, but it said George is going to assist and that Greg's going to lead. And then, you know, you look at what the organizational structure is going to be. That's the decision they've already made. And that, like, it's going to be the head coach not reporting to the general manager, but reporting to the owner. So that's a very significant difference if you know how NFL organizations work. And so I think that does put George Paton on thin ice to some degree, and I think it's going to sort of his future there is going to ride on the way this coaching search goes. And one of the things that they pointed out there too was it's going to be kind of a look at they're going to take a look at football operations overall. And so it could be that, Greg Penner gets to the end of this and figures the best thing is for me to align somebody with George Paton. So I'm going to go get Dan Quinn and then, George is safe. He could go the other direction too. He could say, I want to go get like a kingmaker head coach, right? Like I want to go get Jim Harbaugh out of Michigan, or I want to go get Sean Payton. And maybe to get one of those guys, you have to bring in a general manager who lines up with him. Or, you go off the board, you just hire somebody like a Gerard Mayo or D'Amico Ryans who, you look at and you say, okay, like we're going to hire our own guy. And then, George is sort of in a holding pattern to see how he works with that guy. So I think so much of this, isn't just like George is in or out. I just think George is sort of in limbo right now based on whichever way the head coach search goes. And what Greg Penner finds when he goes through that thorough examination of where the football operation is.
Awesome stuff, Albert. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Happy New Year.
You too. That was Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter for Sports Illustrated's Monday Morning Quarterback, with some really important details and nuance surrounding the Russell Wilson situation and the fallout of the Nathaniel Hackett firing in Denver. And we're going to get into that a little bit more next here on Canty and Carlin. How does Russell Wilson's current issues that Albert laid out very clearly, something that was with him in Seattle, it followed him to Denver, how is that going to impact his overall legacy in the NFL? That's next. ESPN Radio, ESPN app.
Georgia Bulldogs. Keep shopping and do what we do. TCU Horned Frogs. Michigan Wolverines.
Job's not finished. Go Blue.
Ohio State Buckeyes.
This is why you came to Ohio State.
Welcome to the College Football Playoff. The College Football Playoff. Coverage begins New Year's Eve at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
At Lowe's, it pays to be a pro. Now through January 6th, Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards members earn 1 bonus point for every $1 spent on qualifying purchases with a Lowe's Business Credit Account. Redeem bonus points for cool rewards for your business. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Subject to credit approval, Lowe's terms and exclusions. See Lowe's.com/MVP's bonus points and Lowe's.com/L/Pro loyalty term for details. U.S. only.
O'Reilly. See the road ahead more clearly with Sylvania Bulbs and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Right now, purchase select Sylvania Bulbs and get up to a $20 gift card after mail-in rebate, plus 2 times O-Rewards points. Replace your bulbs today and see better tonight. Let the professional parts people help you find the bulbs you need. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You spend half of your life indoors. That's half of your life underneath your roof. Who do you trust to keep you safe and dry underneath it? The name to remember is Roof Doctors. Roof Doctors understands the harsh weather conditions that your roof endures because they're a family and locally owned business. From your community, for your community, the doctors who make the house calls, Roof Doctors at roofdoctors.com or phone 328-7529. Rest easy under a roof that's been treated by Roof Doctors.
If you're looking for a new car, go to Sarah Champaign because at Sarah Subaru, they have over 100 new Subarus available right now, all with symmetrical all-wheel drive. The Subaru Share the Love event is on too. With every new Subaru purchased or leased through January 3rd, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. Sarah Subaru will also donate an additional $50 to the Champaign County Humane Society right here in our community. Visit Sarah Subaru right off Route 45 in Savoy.
Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale is going on now. Save on all the cool Christmas decor you really wanted. Ornaments and Christmas accents are up to 60% off. Up to 60% off Christmas trees, wreaths, and garlands. Save 50 to 60% on Christmas cards, candles, ribbon, and Christmas florals. Hurry in for the best selection and the greatest savings. Prairie Gardens' famous Christmas clearance sale. Going on now. Springfield and Duncan, Champaign.
PDR Automotive in Urbana has been providing quality auto repair service for almost 50 years. Trusted by AAA Motor Club, PDR employs ASE certified technicians that use the latest in diagnostic equipment. They offer nationwide warranties and are even authorized to perform vehicle maintenance that won't void your factory warranty. Check them out 24/7 online at pdrauto.com. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
Switching is easy. We do it all the time. We switch on the lights. We switch TV channels. Some of us switch partners while square dancing. Well, that's a stretch. But what's not a stretch is how you can switch and save with State Farm. In fact, State Farm agent Kurt Lenschow right here in Champaign-Urbana can switch you over so you can start saving today. Kurt and his team are ready to welcome you to the State Farm neighborhood. It's easy to switch and save. Just give them a call when you want the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey Illini fans, it's your girl Chineo Gumake. Catch Lante and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Your Upside Cash. Just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code ESPN10 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's code ESPN10. Use code ESPN10 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Will they find a home? Sponsored by Geico. Jane doesn't mind an apartment with no elevator.
5 flights of stairs is 5 flights of cardio.
Bob is a little less enthusiastic about stairs.
I hate stairs.
Compromise is tough, but these two won't have to compromise when they bundle renters and car insurance with Geico. It's easy, and they could save even more. In the end, Jane and Bob found an apartment that's a 4-story walk-up. And Bob?
Yeah, there's a freight elevator she doesn't know about.
What were you talking about?
Oh, nothing.
Bundling without compromise at geico.com.
Now, I don't think there was a question that Nathaniel Hackett's job was in jeopardy, but I think few people thought that he would lose his job today.
For weeks on weeks on weeks, this offense in their past game has struggled to operate very simple concepts.
This franchise decided they had seen enough. They knew they were going to make a change.
And to have such poor showings against the Raiders and divisional opponents.
You can fire everybody else, but Russell Wilson's going to be there, man. It's like having one of those old timeshares that you just can't get rid of.
Kenny and Carlin, ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80, and on your smart speaker by saying play ESPN Radio. Courtney Cronin, Matt Jones, the new owner of a smart speaker, and he's going to be using that feature.
That's right.
All throughout the rest of today. And you can as well on your smart speaker. ESPN Radio presented by Progressive Insurance. You can tweet to us. My handle at Courtney R. Cronin. Matt's, yours is?
At KY Sports Radio.
And you can also hit us up on the Dr. Pepper call-in line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. I want you to hear from Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter for the Monday Morning Quarterback. We had him on moments ago on Canty and Carlin about what the Denver Broncos need to look for when they're trying to find the next head coach to take over this franchise.
I think above anything else, getting somebody who can stand up to Russell Wilson. You sort of look at everything that he's been afforded there in Denver, and so much of it goes back to like what he thought he should get in Seattle. Whether it's the scheme, it's the office, it's the personal staff that he has there, like all these things, I think made it really complicated for a first-time head coach to try and tell him the truth about how he was playing and try to make adjustments that maybe he wouldn't be comfortable with. And so I just think a huge part of this is bringing in somebody who can stand up to Russell Wilson and tell him the truth about where he's at and build a scheme that isn't necessarily how he envisions himself, but what's best for everybody.
That was Albert Breer, senior NFL reporter for Sports Illustrated's Monday Morning Quarterback. Russell Wilson's 34 years old, and I remember a time not that long ago during his Seattle Seahawks tenure, Matt, where he was considered one of the few scheme-transcendent quarterbacks across the NFL, a list that also had Aaron Rodgers, that had Tom Brady in there, but it was a very elite and narrow list that honestly all three quarterbacks at this point of their career are not a part of anymore. And for somebody to go into Denver and quote-unquote stand up to someone like Russell Wilson, that is a massive undertaking because you have to think about everything that we know, everything former players and current players have talked about when it comes to Russell Wilson, that it's more than just football with him. He's a celebrity in his own right. He's married to an incredibly high-powered entertainer in Sierra, and there have been so many reports about him almost being this untouchable figure in the locker room. So how is any head coach? That's why this opening is not as attractive as some may think, despite of there being a new ownership group that says you're going to get every resource given to you possible to make this thing work, because you're going to be dealing with someone who is notoriously difficult to deal with.
Yeah, first of all, I don't understand who the people are at this point who really like Russell Wilson. Like, who are those people? First of all, he's a massive, if we're going to be honest, he's a massive dork. And that's okay. I'm a dork. That's fine. But I think it's hard to be a dork in the NFL who thinks he's cool and who people are not seeing play well. I remember seeing, I guess it was after Denver played on Thursday night, when Richard Sherman, you saw it, Courtney, in that post-game show. He was so angry, and it was like all this stuff he had wanted to say for years just came out about Russell Wilson. And it's funny, it hasn't been talked about a lot since then, but it was a pretty eye-opening thing when he talked about him. And then you're hearing the same stuff from the Denver locker room. So I agree with you and Albert Greer that someone needs to come in and do all this, but I'm not really sure who Russell Wilson's advocates are. Seattle fans are not really on his side. I can't imagine Denver fans are on his side. Former teammates aren't on his side. You hear the stories about how they can't even get in touch with him. So to me, if he is not open to receiving at this point, with losing his fans, losing his teammates, losing the support of coaches, if he's not open to change now, well, then he's just not going to be open, and it's a lost cause. So while I totally understand what Albert says about the stature of a person, I'm not sure somebody of that stature is going to come in. So ultimately, this is a Russell Wilson decision. This is a Mr. Unlimited, or whatever his stupid nickname was, decision. He has to decide if he wants to change as a person or not. And if he doesn't, that's fine, but an NFL locker room may not be the place for him anymore.
Yeah, and what you were referring to is what was said between Marshawn Lynch and Richard Sherman, who were former Seattle Seahawks teammates of Russell Wilson's, on Richard Sherman's podcast that came after.
No, I mean on the Thursday night game.
Well,
on the
that's when Richard Sherman went off on Russell Wilson. But before then, and this was kind of like, I think it's either before or after, it was the same point about not being able to get in touch with him. Neither teammates that went to a Super Bowl with Russell Wilson had his number, and that's the whole thing.
Crazy.
That's, it's wild to think about having to go through a third-party person to get in touch with your quarterback, but it's always stuff like this that happens when the gloves come off, when there's firings, when people's jobs and livelihoods are on the line. That's when the real comes out, and when people aren't afraid to talk anymore. There were a lot of people who put their careers on the line in Denver to pull off this trade, and some are going to say, well, that's because they missed out on Aaron Rodgers because Green Bay gave him the 3-year extension where he's getting paid $50 million a year to stay there, and then that's who Nathaniel Hackett had sold the Denver Broncos on the fact that if he goes there, Rodgers is coming with him, and this was their contingency plan. There's a lot of truth to that, but there's also the truth that Russell Wilson, at this part of his career, is no longer the quarterback that he was when he was letting the whole let Russ cook thing in Seattle. That doesn't exist. It's null and void at this point. You've got to find someone, and I don't know if that person is anybody that they interviewed last year. Albert Breer brought up the name D'Amico Ryans. He brought up Jared Mayo, both on the defensive side. Maybe a switch in mindset, having a defensive head coach in there as the kind of the CEO of the entire organization, then hiring somebody as the offensive coordinator who can really scheme everything to get the best out of Russell Wilson at this point of his career, but it's not going to be easy to find somebody knowing what this ownership group thinks of the entire situation and knowing the quarterback, honestly and frankly, you're stuck with for the next 2 years, because it is impossible to get out of his contract before 2024 unless you want to just cut him and, carry $107 million in dead cap. That's never happened before and never will. All right, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your car, home, motorcycle, commercial, auto, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at Progressive.com. Ohio State has a chance to win another national championship, and we'll talk with someone who's won it all in Columbus coming up next. But first, Matt has this from FanDuel.
Hey, NFL Wildcard Weekend is almost here. And let me tell you the easiest way to get in the playoffs. Oh, yes, FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers like you listening right now, you can get started and get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's a lot. And when you place your first $5 bet, that'll happen as long as you sign up with the promo code PLAY. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props to just who wins. Don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet and you get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose, with the promo code PLAY. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia, and West Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming and Kansas, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline, 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Thinking about gas mileage? If your check engine light is on, it may be affecting your MPGs, but the free AutoZone Fix Finder service can help. With the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes, you'll know what's affecting your gas mileage and more, and you don't have to drive too far to find the fix. The free AutoZone Fix Finder service is available at all 6,200 stores.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
See details at AutoZone.com.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. You're driving along and some nimrod cuts you off. You hit the horn. Jeez, it sounds like a goose in distress. Time to head over to eBay Motors. They have horns for every make and model, not to mention horn pads, steering wheels, wiring, and more. 122 million parts. You can even go for an upgrade. It looks like Mr. Cutoff Man needs a new seat cover. Try eBay Motors, pal. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
PDR Automotive in Urbana is a locally owned repair shop, and they've now serviced over 250,000 vehicles in their near 50-year history. Now, that's more than 4 times the size of a sold-out Memorial Stadium. It's more than all Division I athletes in the country combined. That's more than the entire population of Champaign County. That's more than, well, you get the idea. When you turn the key and the car won't run, call 367-9481. They are what's best for your truck or car. They are PDR.
On the first Christmas, baby Jesus was born in a stable because God loves each of us. This Christmas, how can we show God we love Him too? Jesus said we can show our love for God by loving our neighbor. Let's make God happy this Christmas.
This is Jim Manley. Throughout this year that's been tough for so many, Empty Tomb Inc. has worked with church people to show their love for God through practical works done in Jesus' name. Clothes, food, furniture, and financial help are shared at our local neighbors' points of need. In addition, Research and Mission Match encourage churches to help our neighbors globally too. Your gift to Empty Tomb now will help people in our local area at their points of need all through the new year. Please send your check to Empty Tomb in Champaign, Illinois, or go to emptytomb.org to donate. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, baby Jesus.
And Merry Christmas to you too.
When you're buying a battery, it's important to look beyond just the price and make sure you're buying a quality battery. So when you're buying one from the big box store, make sure you ask the question, what's the date on this battery? Is it dependable? Sometimes the big box stores have batteries that have been sitting on the shelf for years. Or you can just come to Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable, and buy your battery from the people who only do batteries. Interstate Batteries at 2504 North Madison, Champaign, way out there, but totally worth the drive. How much is dependable worth to you? Interstate Batteries open 6 days a week.
Hi, this is Chris Jackson with Kramer Siding and Window, and we're proud to be your choice for the 2021 People's Choice Awards for the 3rd year in a row. We want to say thank you by offering buy one, get one 50% off on all windows. And you can save 10% on roofing, sunrooms, and decks. So call today or visit us at kramersiding.com. And remember, at Kramer Siding and Window, you have a friend in the business.
Restoration Urban Ministries provides the homeless and displaced with temporary and permanent resident dwellings while giving the person life skills and principles of faith. Support groups, worship, clothing, and a food distribution center are all part of Restoration Urban Ministries.
Please support us in our efforts to strengthen and bring hope to our neighbors. That's restorationurbanministries.org so that we can continue our over 28 years service to the homeless and broken in our community.
Go to restorationurbanministries.org to learn more. Restoring lives through Jesus Christ.
Hey, Illini fans, it's Max Kellerman. Catch Lon Tay and Derek Piper weekdays from 4 to 6 right here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Head-to-head with the 12 and 1/3 ranked TCU Horned Frogs at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl.
Could easily get back and forth. That's going to be a fun matchup just because of the offenses.
Number 2 Michigan versus number 3 TCU. Presented by Dr. Pepper. Coverage begins New Year's Eve at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl on ESPN Radio. USC sat one win from the college football playoff and now head to Jerry World where they'll face Tulane, heading to their biggest bowl game since 1940.
You're going to get a Tulane team that is not going to go quietly into the night. USC, they better be prepared for a war.
10th ranked USC versus number 16 Tulane. Coverage begins January 2nd at noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Cardinals defensive end J.J. Watt plans to retire at the end of the season. Watt was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year 3 times during his first 5 years with the Texans. And John McClain of Gallery Sports believes Watt is a first-ballot Hall of Famer.
He had 16 sacks in 18. He's played really well this year. And I thought he'd play another couple of years. I was as stunned as anybody when I saw the tweet.
John McClain on Bart and Hahn. Watt is also the only player to have 20 or more sacks in a season twice. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports 42-year-old lefty Rich Hill, the oldest player in baseball, will sign a one-year deal with the Pirates for $8 million. Pittsburgh will be Hill's 12th different major league team. Nebraska pass rusher Garrett Nelson will enter the NFL draft after starting 32 straight games for the Cornhuskers. Novak Djokovic is now in Australia, where he'll play in the Australian Open starting January 16th. You might remember last year, Djokovic was deported from the country after being unvaccinated for COVID-19.
Hi, this is Keyshawn Johnson for Keyshawn, J. Will, and Matt. All of us here at ESPN Radio would like to wish you a happy holiday and a happy new year.
We have more in common than you would think.
Lock in.
The work we put in, the standard we set.
I want to do something that's never been done.
The statements we made.
Complete domination.
And the success that we've earned.
When you do things right, good things happen to you.
But what we have most in common has the power to separate us forever. We all want to win a championship. But only one of us will.
You gonna take what belongs to you. You make a statement today. Georgia dominating from start to finish. Buckeyes throwing haymaker. Got it back tonight. You have an opportunity to do something special. Let's go kick these guys.
Oh, Saturday is going to be a good one. The Verbo Fiesta Bowl, number 3 TCU and number 2 Michigan kicking things off in the CFP semifinals, 4 p.m. Eastern time, followed by the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, an 8 p.m. Eastern kickoff between number 4 Ohio State and the reigning national champion, number 1 Georgia. You're listening to Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Courtney Cronin kicking it with you on this Tuesday afternoon. Pleased to be welcomed with Maurice Clarett, former Ohio State running back, BCS national champion, joining us here on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. Maurice, thanks so much for the time. As we get ready for this game between Georgia and Ohio State, I wanted to go back on your national championship experience. You played against Miami in 2003. It was during the 2002 season. What was the week like in the preparation for that national championship game?
It was very intense. I think the biggest thing was that the coaches, you could see a level of intensity and focus from coaches. And I think like the collective feeling was that, you know, this is the last game and everybody's watching in college. And it feels big and it feels like everybody else has stopped playing, meaning all your peers and other teams. And, you know, everything is super intense at practice in regards to running and executing what they have drawn up. And so it was a very intense weekend. All of the festivities surrounding it, the Fiesta Bowl did a great job of creating activities for us young guys. And, you know, I had a good time.
Absolutely, and you walked away a national champion. It's something that the Ohio State Buckeyes are trying to do this year. Let's go back to the last time that we saw Ohio State play, and that was against Michigan back on November 26th. They were 9-point favorites in that last game, and we know what happened in the fourth quarter. What do you think this team needs to do in order to not have that late game letdown happen again?
I've been saying it the whole season. Just play with intensity. You know, I guess it's a problem that builds up where, you know, sometimes like being too good versus the competition you play can be a bad thing because you never really get into a dog fight and kind of see who you are or have to have a sustained focus over a series of quarters. You know, and I think with Michigan last year, Michigan gained their confidence, beating us the year up in Ann Arbor. And then they came down here still with something to prove, still to say, hey, man, we didn't beat you one time by happenstance. We want to beat you again. And I think that, you know, some of these younger guys who've come to Ohio State since we've been winning, they kind of take that for granted. And you don't really compete with a level of intensity or a level of tenacity. And I hope this isn't a bad choice of words, but it's like killing your food. Like if you notice you can beat somebody, beat them, let them notice you can beat them and stomp on them and make sure that they don't even believe that they can play. And I've not seen that out of us this year versus a top-tier team. And so Georgia and the SEC, they play a different style of football. They're constantly playing people where you have to go deep into your bench and you have to play all 4 quarters and you have to get into this like heavyweight fight. And so they're going to be ready. And so in order for, the Buckeyes to win, you also need, our coaches. As much as you can say things about players on the field, players can only do but so much. Players are supposed to make plays. Coaches are supposed to put players in a position to make plays. And so we have to have our coaches being on their best behavior, calling the appropriate coverages, calling the appropriate offenses. If things happen to go, sideways, having the appropriate adjustments, keeping guys' heads in the game. So there's a lot of factors, and it's football, and so anybody can win. But the core of it all is intensity. You just need a level of sustained intensity and sustained execution because you have the talent. You have your 4 and 5 star players. But intensity and focus is what separates people inside of big moments. And I'm talking about players and coaches. Jim Tressel, he did his thing and he had his signature wins. Urban Meyer came here and had his signature wins. And now it's for Ryan Day with all this adversity going against him. It's time for him to, make this statement win versus Kirby Smart, get another crack at Michigan, go on to win the national championship, and then you submit to legacy.
Maurice Clarett, former Ohio State running back and BCS national champion, joining Courtney Cronin here on Canty and Carlin, ESPN Radio, the ESPN app. And you're right, that fourth quarter, and we think about kind of the defensive breakdowns and Jim Knowles coming under fire, defensive coordinator for the Ohio State Buckeyes. That cannot happen again in this semifinal game. And you're playing a Georgia team that really didn't miss a beat at all this season. They lose 15 players to the NFL draft. They reload, and then in the SEC championship, they put up a 50-burger on LSU. So we know that that's going to be a tough test. But if Ohio State is able to get through Georgia, there's a shot for them that they'd be playing Michigan again in the national championship. How much do you think Ohio State fans and alumni want that shot again to right their wrongs against a team from up north?
Everybody wants it. Ohio State, Georgia, TCU, and Michigan, these are premier programs. You bring in coaches not to beat your lower-tier MAC schools, and no offense to them, but your lower-tier schools. This is why you make millions of dollars. This is why this is it right now. They can put me on the sideline and I can win 12 games. You know what I'm saying? But you play big dollars for stuff like this, and so you recruit players and you make facilities nice and you bring in the best to stand on the stage and compete against the best, and that's what it is. And so everybody around this town, we've manhandled Michigan for the past decade, right? And nobody wants to go back. And it's good for them to win sometimes because it keeps the rivalry going, it keeps the energy going. But there will be nothing better than to go out and beat Georgia and do it in a fashion where say, we're back and we can justify why we call ourselves the Ohio State. We can justify the noise that we that we beat SEC schools, and then get one more crack at this guy on the national stage, hardball against, Ryan Day, and you go ahead and get it done. And so I'm rooting for Ryan Day, but I purposely make these comments on purpose, hoping that they get to him. I hope they get to him, and I hope it infuriates him, and I hope that he knows that this is a major moment. He can make something for his legacy. I hope the players know as well that they can make something of themselves because the stakes are high and the moment is important and everybody's watching you. And now it's like, what do you want to do? This is what you train for. This is what you run through Stanford's for. This is what you run heels for. This is why you lift weights. This is why you do 6 a.m. This is it. Like, there's nothing better than this. Like, you get a chance to have a significant moment where you can display your coaching talent and your physical talents on the field over 4 quarters, and now everything that you want to become and how you want to be remembered, you have the moment to do it. And I don't know, I don't like in sports, like where in life where everything is so predictable, and sports are like the national reality show. You know what I'm saying? This is it. This is what makes sports special. Like, you don't know what's going to happen, and when you're in the center and to control it, and you have the power to motivate, encourage, inspire, and execute. And that goes for both sides. This is it. And I don't know, I'm pumped up even talking about it, as you can hear. But I'm excited to watch the game like everybody else.
Yeah, we're getting pumped up for it, too. Saturday, a big day, Fiesta Bowl, Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. That's where you're going to see number 1 Georgia and number 4 Ohio State fighting for a trip to the national championship. He is Maurice Clarett, former Ohio State running back, BCS national champion, joining us here on Canty and Carlin. Appreciate the time, Maurice. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you for having me.
The Peach Bowl, it's going to be mayhem, and this mayhem moment is brought to you by Allstate. Get protected from mayhem this year when you switch and stave with Allstate. Coming up next, what national championship matchup do you want to see? Weigh in, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. That's next on ESPN Radio.
This is Keyshawn Johnson from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Wishing you a happy holiday season from all of us here at ESPN Radio.
The football playoffs are right around the corner, and nothing beats seeing your favorite team live. Not only does Vivid Seats have great NFL ticket prices, they're also the official ticketing partner of ESPN. And with Vivid Seats rewards, when you buy 10 tickets, you get the 11th free. Download the app or visit vividseats.com today. Vivid Seats. Life happens live. Receive a reward credit equal to the average price of the 10 tickets purchased, excluding taxes, fees, and processing costs. See vividseats.com/rewards for terms and conditions. Peacock presents the new original limited series, The Best Man, the final chapters, from the creator of The Best Man and The Best Man Holiday, and executive producer of Insecure. The series reunites the original cast to wrap up all the unfinished business, with new loves, career highs, parenthood, grief, and everything in between. The series explores what threatens to tear us down, and what ultimately keeps us together. The Best Man, the final chapters, streaming now, only on Peacock.
Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
What do you mean, I get the whole store?
I'm Dennis Regan, chairman of Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. And when we promise you the whole store, we mean all we do is appliances. We offer a showroom full of the top appliance brands, complete with our free 10-year protection plan.
Who does your warranty work? Some outfit with a 1-800 number?
No way! Our service and installation technicians are employed and factory trained by us. And our protection plan means you pay nothing for covered repairs.
So, I get a free 10-year protection plan, a guaranteed best deal, a hometown service department, and a showroom full of name brand appliances? Wow!
Hey lady, that's my line. All we do is appliances, and we do them better than anyone else. Wow!
Dick Van Dyke Appliance World. When you buy from us, you get the whole store.
If you're looking for a new car, go to Sarah Champagne, because at Sarah Subaru, they have over 100 new Subarus available right now, all with symmetrical all-wheel drive. The Subaru Share the Love event is on too. With every new Subaru purchased or leased through January 3rd, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. Sarah Subaru will also donate an additional $50 to the Champaign County Humane Society right here in our community. Visit Sarah Subaru right off Route 45 in Savoy.
If you're in the market for a new car battery, you could go to one of those big box stores, except there's no guarantee you'll be served by an actual car expert.
Clean up in aisle 3.
You could pick a battery off the shelf, except it might be close to expiring. Or you could just come into Interstate. Don't make a big box store blunder. With competitive prices and a more personal, reliable approach, Interstate Batteries is the clear-cut choice if you want to guarantee yourself a new and trustworthy car battery. They're open and ready to serve you at 2504 North Mattis Avenue in Champaign.
At Lifeline Connect, a residential recovery center for men in Urbana, we believe there's no such thing as a lost cause. As you donate to Funding the Dream, you'll be giving to a safe place where men can experience recovery while discovering God's purpose for their lives. Lifeline Connect is a Christian, faith-based solution to life-controlling drug and alcohol addictions. Help with the mission to rebuild lives and as you visit lifelineconnect.org. At Lifeline Connect, a residential recovery center for men in Urbana, we believe there is no such thing as a lost cause. As you donate at Lifeline Connect, a residential recovery center for men, at Lifeline Connect, a residential recovery center for men in Urbana, we believe there is no such thing as a lost cause. As you donate to Funding the Dream, you'll be giving to a safe place where men can experience recovery while pursuing God's purpose for their lives. Lifeline Connect is a Christian, faith-based solution to life-controlling drug and alcohol addictions. Help with the mission to rebuild lives as you visit lifelineconnect.org. Thank you.
Now, the NIL jersey lineup for your Fighting Illini. Number 55, Sky Clark. Number 15, R.J. Melendez. Number 10, Luke Goody. Number 20, Ty Rogers. Number 0, Terrence Shannon Jr. And number 33, Coleman Hawkins. Get yours at State Farm Center on game day, online or in stores. Game Day Spirit, official fan store of the Fighting Illini.
Carl works every day to improve the health of community members across the region, and it would not be possible without team members like Dwayne Linton, a nationally certified nurse in the emergency department at Carl Foundation Hospital.
I work with a team of people who really care about what they do and are very flexible and adaptive in rapidly changing critical situations, and I would trust any of them at any time.
If you're looking for an opportunity to serve your community like Dwayne in a supportive environment, visit carl.org/careers.
Want unbeatable prices on your next furniture purchase, but also seeking that local hometown feel? Look no further than Kelsey Furniture in Tuscola. Customers rave about their friendly, established staff, as well as their great selection, amazing prices, and second-to-none delivery service. They're a third-generation local business, and they've always got your best interests at heart. Find the look you love for less. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday, but always available online at kelseyfurniture.com. That's kelseyfurniture.com.
Hi, this is Kirk Lehman, owner of Aftershock Decals and Design. We are a one-stop shop for your business needs. Whether you're just starting up or already in business, we can help you get your brand out there. We do everything from logo design or redesign, outdoor signage to banners, window and wall graphics, fleet graphics, vehicle wraps, and more. We also provide custom racing wraps and decals. If you need anything I just mentioned, you need to get a quote from me, Kirk Lehman. Just visit us at aftershockdd.com.
Flowers equals smiles equals happiness. Think love with flowers. The Blossom Basket florist can put a smile on everyone's face with a beautiful spring floral creation. Let their flowers make you a hero. Flowers are always affordable for all occasions, from simple to simply magnificent. Visit them online at blossombasket.com or come into their store at 1002 North Cunningham Avenue in Urbana.
The Blossom Basket florist, the florist you pick.
I've got to clean out this garage. Let's see. What's the cheapest and easiest dumpster service in our area?
Here's what I found. The doggy bag.
Think she's broken. I'm not looking for takeout. Siri, try again.
The doggy bag from Bulldog Disposal in Mahomet.
Doggy bag? What's that?
If you got junk that needs to go, but you don't want the hassle of having an enormous dumpster delivered, grab a doggy bag, keep it as long as you need. They'll come take it away. For more information, just visit bulldoggybag.com.
That's bulldoggybag.com.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Arizona Cardinals defensive end J.J. Watt will retire at the end of the season. His last 2 games will be at Atlanta and at San Francisco. Watt is one of only 3 players to be the league's Defensive Player of the Year 3 times. He is 33 years old. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa now in concussion protocol after telling team doctors about his symptoms. And ESPN's Mike Tannenbaum says the current NFL system to identify possible concussions during games isn't working.
There are rules and procedures in place that are supposed to be led by neutral physicians
that are not affiliated with the team, that are jointly hired between the league and the union, I would say they need to be held accountable.
Mike Tannenbaum on KJ and Max. ESPN's Pete Thamel reports Wake Forest quarterback Sam Hartman will be a grad transfer. He enters the portal after a great career at Wake, setting the ACC record with 110 touchdown passes. The Mets are still spending, re-signing reliever Adam Ottavino to a 2-year contract for $14.5 million.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Looking for a career you'll love with flexibility, great pay, and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces? Come join their growing team. Go to progressive.com/careers and apply online today.
If you having take problems, I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a Chris ain't one. Hit me.
Now, from the ESPN studios in New York City, this is Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio.
We have more in common than you would think.
Lock in.
The work we put in, the standard we set.
I want to do something that's never been done.
The statements we made,
Complete domination.
and the success that we've earned.
When you do things right, good things happen to you.
But what we have most in common has the power to separate us forever. We all want to win a championship, but only one of us will.
You go take what belongs to you. You make a statement today. Georgia dominating from start to finish. Buckeyes throwing haymaker.
We have an opportunity to do something special. Let's go take these guys.
4 teams going for the national championship. That starts on Saturday in the semifinals, 2 bowl games between Michigan and TCU and Ohio State and Georgia. It's Canty and Carlin here on ESPN Radio. Matt Jones and Courtney Cronin. Happy to be joined on the phone by former TCU head coach Gary Patterson, who helped build that place up into what it is now. And Gary, I when you look at the 4 playoff teams, you see Georgia, you see Ohio State, you see Michigan, and those are programs that have obviously had tremendous success throughout. And then you see TCU, who's going to this place for the first time, and it's got to be exciting. What does it mean? You were around there for a long time. What does it mean for that campus, that community, to be able to play on this stage on Saturday?
Still being part of the Fort Worth community, it's very exciting. It's really exciting for the state of Texas. Exciting for the town. It's exciting for the university. Many friends there. It's just been it's a big positive, and it's been something that's been building for many years, and I'm glad that they got an opportunity. A lot of those kids were recruited, so it's I'm happy for them. Really excited for their future, and I'm rooting for them.
Max Duggan threw 30 touchdowns, 4 interceptions this season. He was the Heisman runner-up. And I wanted to ask you just about not only his development, but his decision to stay at TCU after the coaching change. It's something we don't see that often, especially at the quarterback position. I read somewhere roughly 40% of starting quarterbacks found their new destination or found their destination via the transfer portal, but he decided to stay. And he wasn't the first choice this season, but an injury paved the way for him to get a chance to do what he did this year. How special is that when you think about the season he went through this year to get TCU to where they are right now?
Well, you have to go back and understand Max Duggan. His dad was a coach. Great family, and so his best friends are the offensive linemen, a lot of the walk-on skilled kids at tight ends and snappers and all that group. So Max is one of those guys. He would never leave his group, let his friends down, and it wasn't surprising he decided to come back and not transfer and do the things he needed to do. He's just that kind of person, and he's kind of been the heart and soul, I think, of what they've been able to accomplish. He's just one of those kids that's going to keep going. If you look at his history of everything that went on health-wise and what he's fought through and what he's done, it's been truly amazing story, and it's been fun to watch.
You had Sonny Dykes at TCU in 2017 as your offensive analyst. It was after he coached somewhere else. Things didn't work out great, and you bring him in. And what did you see then as a coach, and what do you see now that has helped him take this team to the playoff in his first year?
Well, for me, it was, which I'd done in coaches like Jerry Keel, Sonny Dykes. I've always been one that believed the guys were good football coaches. You want to give them an opportunity to keep a chip in the game, and that's kind of what we did. Chris Del Conte came to me and asked me if I would let Sonny be part of the staff and do all of it. And Coach Dykes, his dad, was really good to me as a young coach, as far as allowing us to come out and look at film with his staff and do things. And so for us, it was real easy. It was really easy for me to have Sonny be part of the staff and be a part of it. And, obviously good things have happened to him.
Number 3 TCU takes on number 2 Michigan in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl on Saturday, December 31st, 4 p.m. kickoff time, Eastern time. We're talking with Gary Patterson, former TCU head coach. And I want to ask you about kind of where they stand, because I don't feel like we talk enough about TCU and where they are in the college football playoff rankings. And, of course, people are going to look at the Big Ten and the SEC and do their own sort of eye test here. But how important do you think it is for TCU to win this semifinal game to validate their spot in the postseason?
Well, I don't really. I think their body of work validates their spot in the playoff. Where they're at and getting an opportunity to play. They've won all their games. They lost in the championship game, which came right down to a couple inches in the Big 12 championship game. So, really proud of the seniors. Really excited for Coach Dykes and the staff. They've done a great job, and you like to see it. It's always really hard because Coach Harbaugh is a really good friend. He was in a situation a couple years ago where whether they didn't know if Michigan was going to keep him or not, and fought back to get into the playoffs last year, and then got back to it again. So, really, it's got a great storyline. You got a university that's fought for years. Felt like maybe back in 2014 that didn't get the opportunity and had a great team, and now they did get the opportunity to be there. And then you have a Michigan team that has been back 2 years in a row. So. I think it's going to be a great ball game. It's going to be really fun to watch. I'm excited to watch it.
Talking to Gary Patterson, former TCU head coach. Gary, I had a buddy in law school who went to TCU, and it was always interesting talking to him because he was a massive Horned Frog fan. But he also, I always thought, kind of had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because he was like, well, Texas and Texas A&M get all the attention in Texas, but we're here. And he very much loved – like when they had success is sort of see, I told you. Like, you forget about us, I told you. Is there that mentality in some respects that drives, whether it's the fans, the players, the coaches at TCU, that kind of, those other two schools are really big, but we have a good program, we play good football here?
Yeah, I think that was what it was built on, clear back, almost 25 years ago. It was built on being able to prove to people that TCU could be a part of the conversation at some point in time. And, back in the early 2000s, we talked about getting to a BCS game. And then, 9 and 10, you go into the Fiesta Bowl, won the Rose Bowl. 14, you were part of the playoff picture talk. And then 17, played for the conference title. So through the year, they've been able to do it. Built the university, the fans, the supporters, built facilities. Everybody's been invested there. So it's just not a sometime thing. And it's taken, as they adopted a lot of people. There's a lot of fans that didn't grow up being a graduate of TCU that have adopted TCU in that town. And it's been a part, and really the state, to be honest with you. I think it became a household name with when you talk about LaDainian Tomlinson and some of the players that have come through. I think in the last 20-some years have had, somewhere between 140, 150 guys that have got into camps. So a lot of guys have gotten opportunities to play, have played really well at the NFL level, and now they get an opportunity to be able to prove within the playoff picture to see if they can be a team that can play for the national championship and get through this ball game.
Gary, before we let you go here, I know you were at TCU as a head coach 2000 to 2021, a very long time. Do you want to be a head coach again? Do you have your eyes set on that?
We're right now. My whole focus. I knew that having been there for a long time. Coach Sark gave me a great opportunity, staff, to come down here and be a part of. So, I knew that I needed to get out of Fort Worth. It'd been at least for a season. After you've been there for 24 years, at least this first time, and so maybe so. But right now we've been enjoying the opportunity. I've kind of gone back and forth when it comes to all that, of whether to help just one place or be able to maybe go into some kind of consulting role where I can help all of college football in some case with a lot of young head coaches and different problems that have come up, with all the things I've been able to learn through the years. But this has been a great experience so far. The University of Texas has been great to me, the city of Austin, and the staff and the players. So acquired a lot of friends, a lot of friendships, and if I end up, it wouldn't hurt my feelings if I ended up being back here. But Kelsey and I will sit down and kind of decide what we're going to do and go from there. Family and friends, they sacrifice a lot for guys through the 40 years I've been a football coach. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes and what decisions we do come up with.
Sounds like a man, though, who wants to coach, Gary. I don't know, but I feel it. That sounds like a man that's not out of your blood yet, I don't think. But Gary Patterson,
I love the game. I can tell you that.
Yes, well, your former TCU head coach. Great stuff. We really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
College football bowl talk here on Canty and Carlin is brought to you by Princess Cruises. I love this boat. TCU is a 7.5-point underdog versus Michigan in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. I bet they love boats, too. Is that a good bet or a bad bet? We'll play that next right here on ESPN Radio.
Georgia Bulldogs. Keep shopping and do what we do. TCU Horned Frogs. Michigan Wolverines.
Job's not finished. Go blue.
Ohio State Buckeyes.
This is why you came to Ohio State.
Welcome to the College Football Playoff. The College Football Playoff. Coverage begins New Year's Eve at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
NFL Wildcard Weekend is here. That's right. It has arrived. And the easiest way to get into the playoffs is with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers, join today to get started with $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code PLAY. So don't miss out. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia, and West Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming and Kansas or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, bringing us our Stevie J Broadcasting Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
Patrol Lieutenant, Champaign County Sheriff's Department, Law Enforcement Official of the Month, Tony Shaw. How hard is it to have people be negative toward you?
Absolutely. It's frustrating just because I know the character of the officers and the deputies and how dedicated they are to the citizens of Champaign County. But segments like this, and when Ferguson was happening and the Champaign County Fair, I had a lot of people come up to us, thank us for our service. And this past Champaign County Fair, the same thing. So in a sense, you get people that support you, are more vocal, maybe don't have the same platform, but are more vocal coming up to us and letting us know that they do support us. And so that's encouraging. So I'm hopeful, I'm encouraged, I'm a glasses half full kind of guy. And so I see nothing but a brighter future.
Crossroads Contractor Supply, delivering within a 150-mile radius of Champaign-Urbana, supporting our Law Enforcement Official of the Month.
If you're looking for a new car, go to Sarah Champagne because at Sarah Subaru, they have over 100 new Subarus available right now, all with symmetrical all-wheel drive. The Subaru Share the Love event is on too. With every new Subaru purchased or leased through January 3rd, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. Sarah Subaru will also donate an additional $50 to the Champaign County Humane Society right here in our community. Visit Sarah Subaru right off Route 45 in Savoy.
Now, the NIL jersey lineup for your Fighting Illini. Number 55, Sky Clark. Number 15, R.J. Melendez. Number 10, Luke Goody. Number 20, Ty Rogers. Number 0, Terrence Shannon Jr. And number 33, Coleman Hawkins. Get yours at State Farm Center on game day, online or in stores. Game Day Spirit, official fan store of the Fighting Illini.
If you want a steak, I mean a steak, prepared the way you want it, you've got to go to Long Branch Steakhouse. Hi, it's Jay Lehman. It's been over a year since I was introduced to Donnie at the Long Branch Steakhouse in Gifford. And when I want a great steak, that's where I go. And the sides, the Brussels sprouts, the mac and cheese, and the salad with Donnie's secret frog dressing. Long Branch Steakhouse in downtown Gifford. Open Wednesday through Saturday from 5 to 9 p.m. There's always room for the Long Branch Steakhouse.
Hey, Illini fans, Jets Pizza is hiring both full and part-time team members. If you enjoy people and you're looking for a fast-paced, high-energy job, then Jets is the place for you. Need some extra cash? Starting pay is $12 an hour, and there's potential for promotion based on attitude and performance, and you'll get a good employee discount. The hardest part of the job is being around that amazing aroma of the homemade pizza sauce. Drive for Jets. Be a part of the Jets family today. Apply online at jetspizza.com. Jets Pizza, better because it has to be.
Hi, this is Amanda Jean, the founder and planner of Inspire Your Wedding and Events. It's Inspire Your Wedding Showcase coming to Carmen's in downtown Champaign on Sunday, March 26th from 2 to 5. Join us for the biggest wedding showcase of the year, bringing together vendors and couples from all over Central Illinois. Find out how to learn, connect, and book services to create a magical day. Join us for the premier wedding showcase Sunday, March 26th from 2 to 5 at Carmen's in downtown Champaign. For complete details, visit inspireyour.com. That's inspireyour.com.
You have money laying all around your house. You just don't know it. And no, I don't mean selling your great-grandma's good china. I mean all the old metal items you don't want to use or get rid of. Don't pay someone to haul it away. Bring it into Max Twin City Recycling and get paid to have it taken off your hands. They love new customers and are more than willing to walk you through their process step by step. Come check them out at 2808 North Lincoln Avenue in Urbana.
Starting it over is what we do. City Recycling.
Feel the difference with the most trusted sewer service team in Central Illinois. From clogged pipes to broken sewer lines, you can trust the experts at Matex for quick and reliable residential service and repair. Call, text, or schedule your service online. Matex. Feel the difference. Feel the difference with the most trusted sewer service team in Central Illinois. From clogged pipes to broken sewer lines, you can trust the experts at Matex for quick and reliable residential service and repair. Call, text, or schedule your service online. Matex. Feel the difference.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career. In just months. Already in IT? Build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus. And financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-857-5656. That's 800-857-5656.
Hi, it's Stevie J. Start your day with me along with Diane Ducey, weekday mornings 7 to 9 here on ESPN Radio 93.5.
Upside, what's that? It's a free app that pays you back real money for every gallon of gas or diesel you buy. I just earned 25 cents back on every gallon of this tank.
Hold on. So the Upside app is free and you actually get cash back every time you use it? No strings attached?
Yep, it's awesome. Check it out. It only takes a couple of minutes to sign up.
Instead of just watching your dollars go into your tank, start putting money back into your wallet with the free app from Upside. With the price of gas today, it's big news and big money. To cash out of your Upside cash, just transfer it to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card. Upside users have already earned over $200 million. Now it's your turn. Download the free Upside app and get cash back on every gallon of gas. Use promo code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill up. That's code APP70. Use code APP70 for an extra 25 cents per gallon back in your first fill up.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. J.J. Watt is playing his 12th NFL season, 10 with the Texans and the last 2 with the Cardinals. Watt says today this season will be his last. He was the 11th overall pick for Houston in the 2011 draft. His first child, a son, was born in October. The Broncos are looking for a new head coach, and ESPN's Dan Orlovsky says Denver is the least attractive job in the league right now.
The guy that comes and takes this job, number one, has to get Russell Wilson playing at a high level. So
That's a small group of what guys believe that they are capable of doing that.
Dan Orlovsky on NFL Live. Maryland tight end C.J. Dupree will transfer to Alabama, choosing the Crimson Tide over Ohio State. Pro Football Hall of Famer Ed Reed will be the new head coach at Bethune-Cookman. Sacramento Kings coach Mike Brown is out for tonight's game against the Nuggets. He's in the league's health and safety protocols. Center Domantas Sabonis questionable tonight with a right thumb injury. And Blues defenseman Torrey Krug goes on IR. He'll be out at least 6 weeks.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive offers a great price and round-the-clock protection when bundling home and auto. It's one of those rare times where you could save money and get something great. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
It is Canty and Carlin here on ESPN Radio. Matt Jones, Courtney Cronin here with you for the next 30 minutes, and then we'll go to other wonderful hosts. We are joined by Sarah Kustok, Yes Network Nets analyst. And Sarah, before we get started, I just want to say something. Can I give you a compliment before we start, Sarah?
I will always take a compliment.
All right, good. So I end up watching quite a few Nets broadcasts because Ian Eagle is one of my good buddies. And I have to say, you do a terrific job. And for people who haven't seen your work, I just wanted to tell you that because I end up watching a lot because Ian makes me laugh, and he's always been a good friend of mine. So I just wanted to compliment you on the great job you do on those broadcasts.
I appreciate that, and you are spot on. He is the best of the best, not only as a professional, but as a human being. So, yeah, I'm lucky. I'm lucky I get to sit next to him, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's an absolutely wonderful guy for people who don't know him. Now, let's talk a little basketball. Normally, I think when you have gotten asked on these types of shows, it has been in the last year and a half to talk about what's going wrong with the Nets. But now things are going great. I think they've won, 12 of 13 or something, and they're playing excellent. What has changed? Why all of a sudden are the Nets meeting the promise we've been waiting for a while?
Well, I think one thing comes down to health. Secondly, though, given the way the season started, I think there was just a lot of moving parts for a lot of reasons, and this group is finally starting to click and build chemistry, considering the fact that a lot of these players hadn't had much time on the floor together. Many were coming back. A handful were coming back from some off-season injuries. Kevin Durant is playing at an MVP level. He is the one who it starts and stops with, and he's been extraordinary. Kyrie Irving as well, and I just think collectively you look top to bottom of this roster, and everyone's figured out their role in contributing in a way that has best benefited how they play and how they want to play behind Jacques Vaughn, and he's the other name that I would point to. He's been tremendous. His organization, his communication, his energy is infectious. His in-game adjustments, how he's been able just to push the right buttons of lineups, rotations, combinations. And finally, this group, they have got so many potent scorers to play, starting with, Kevin and Kyrie, but to play alongside them and just how everyone fits together. But they have, throughout the course of the last, you mentioned winning 12 of 13, but over the course of the last month and a half or so, what they've done defensively, the connectedness, they've figured out this switching scheme of just having a lot of guys that can guard multiple positions, so rebounding better. And so I think for all those reasons, it's been working well, and because of it, winning is fun. And I think you see these guys having a lot of fun playing with one another.
This thing could have gone sideways early on in November when they made the coaching change a couple weeks into the season. And obviously there was Kyrie Irving being away for the team for the suspension. And so much fell on Kevin Durant's shoulders, at least from an outside perspective, that he was going to have to be the glue that kept this thing together. And not only does it seem like he did that, Sarah, but the fact that you mentioned he's playing at an MVP level, and that's not the first we've heard of that. Is this the best you've seen from Kevin since he's been with the Brooklyn Nets?
That's tough to say, Courtney. I think you are so right about all of that and just the assessment of what he's shouldered. And it's not just been about his production, but I think his leadership on the floor, how he has all these guys playing in just for what he brings to the table. But I've seen him in play. I saw him in the playoffs 2 seasons ago that he was, point to a lot of it, the toe away from potentially advancing against the Bucks, who inevitably went on to win the NBA championship. But it's some of the best basketball just in terms of the efficiency that we see out of him. He's shooting the lights out in ways that he's got double teams. You see in every defense and defensive coverage, game planning against him. He's picking defenses apart. His numbers in terms of assists have been skyrocketing. I think just watching what he's done defensively, when I point to the shift and the change that the Nets have made with how they're able to lock down teams, I think that a big part of that, Nick Claxton has been a part of that, Ben Simmons, you can go down the list, but Durant has been such a key component of how he's been playing on that end. So I think just the totality of his game, and I also think just how he's able to elevate and bring the best out of his teammates. I think that's something that's often a cliche when you talk about players, but we are watching it on a game-by-game basis of everyone rising to the level of how he's been playing.
Talking to Sarah Kustok, Yes Network, Nets analyst. So let me ask you this. Most of the year it has felt like to me that the two best teams are Milwaukee and Boston in some order, and then everybody else is kind of a notch below, even in the West. In the East, though, the Nets will have to go through those two teams. Do you think the best version of the Nets can compete at the level with Milwaukee and Boston?
Absolutely. I mean, I think your assessment is accurate, but I also would point to, with Milwaukee, with Boston, the level of continuity, a lot of those players, and in the Bucks in particular. I know they have hit a little bit of a skid. Chris Middleton has been out some, but all of those teams, whether or both of those teams, I should say, you look at the amount of players that have been together and been playing together year after year, have been postseason and playoff tested together. I think that matters and that makes a difference. So I think at the early part of the season, sometimes that's where you see teams get off to quicker starts because they have a comfortability with one another. And I think that's why, along with some other reasons, it took Brooklyn a little bit of time. But without a doubt, and I think you look at what Cleveland's been doing, you look at how Philadelphia has been playing so well. I think with a lot of the teams in the East, especially towards the top tier, there's always the opportunity to compete and to make runs. But I think it's still, when you look at where you are sitting here in December, what happens, with the trade deadline, what happens with some of those buyout candidates, how teams and rosters shake out. Of course, health is always a factor. I think that's where you still got a ways to go in the season. But I think for all of these teams, you watch, how they're playing now and the level of playing at right now. I think when it comes to Brooklyn, how they've been playing, having just coming off a win against Milwaukee, the way they looked in Cleveland, some of these teams, I think that's where the difference has been in this win streak of seeing them play and compete and win against some top-tier teams, not just getting the wins, how they're getting those wins. So that is a long-winded answer, Matt, to your question of, I absolutely do think that they believe they can compete against any of those teams in the Eastern Conference.
Sarah Kustok killing it just as she does on the Nets broadcast on the Yes Network. Please tell I said hello, and thank you very much for your time.
I will. Thank you. You guys have a great evening.
All right. NBA Talk on Canty and Carlin is brought to you by Fresh Pet. That's right. Real pet food, fresh from the fridge. That's where I keep all my pet food, thanks to Fresh Pet. Well, you know how we end the shows here. It's the 3 stories you might have missed. We'll make sure you know them all. That's next here on Canty and Carlin.
This is Keyshawn Johnson from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Wishing you a happy holiday season from all of us here at ESPN Radio.
NFL Wildcard Weekend is here. That's right. It has arrived. And the easiest way to get into the playoffs is with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers, join today to get started with $150 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code PLAY. So don't miss out. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expires in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia, and West Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona. 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana. 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming and Kansas, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas. 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789 in Tennessee.
Hey, it's Keyshawn Johnson.
Yo, this is Jay Williams.
Hi, this is Max Kellerman from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. All of us here at ESPN Radio would like to wish you happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
A happy holiday and a happy new year.
The College Football Playoff on ESPN Radio. The undefeated and second-ranked Michigan Wolverines go head-to-head with the 12-1 third-ranked TCU Horned Frogs at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl.
Could easily get back and forth. That's going to be a fun matchup just because of the offenses.
Number 2 Michigan versus number 3 TCU. Presented by Dr. Pepper. Coverage begins New Year's Eve at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. The Rose Bowl game on ESPN Radio. The Utah Utes return to the Rose Bowl for their second straight season after defending their Pac-12 title. They'll face Penn State, looking for their 5th straight win and 11th win overall. Coverage begins January 2nd at 5 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
2 of the best young quarterbacks in the league battle for playoff position. Allen and the Bills.
You leave everything out on this field.
Burrow and the Bengals.
Mean, nasty, tough. Let's go.
The stage is set for an epic Monday night matchup. The Bills face the Bengals. Ready for football. Bills-Bengals, Monday at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and ABC.
The College Football Playoff on ESPN Radio. The top-ranked, undefeated, defending national champion Georgia Bulldogs head to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl to face the 11-1 Ohio State Buckeyes.
Ohio State playing Georgia in Atlanta. You talk about energy in a building.
Number 1 Georgia versus 4th-ranked Ohio State. Presented by Dr. Pepper. Coverage begins New Year's Eve at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker. The College Football Playoff on ESPN Radio. First at the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, 3rd-ranked TCU faces number 2 Michigan. Then at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, 4th-ranked Ohio State versus top-ranked Georgia.
You and we are built for this.
TCU Michigan, followed by Ohio State Georgia. Presented by Dr. Pepper.
Welcome to the College Football Playoff.
Coverage begins New Year's Eve at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker.
We are going to Pandora.
The wait is over.
Come on!
Avatar, The Way of Water has arrived. Experience the motion picture event of a generation.
This family is our fortress.
Witness the next chapter of the global phenomenon.
We must protect the people.
From director James Cameron.
This is only the beginning.
Avatar, The Way of Water. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. Now playing only in theaters. Tickets on sale now.
Mike Greenberg, Greeny.
I like the cut of Cam's jib. Cam is kind of jumping in nicely today. I like it. By the way, has anyone ever told you look a little bit like a Jonas Brother?
I've gotten One Direction and Jonas Brother. I guess it's a compliment.
You look like a
Joe bro.
You look like a Jonas Brother. You look like Joe if Joe had Nick's hair.
Or Frankie, the one that's not even in the band.
Frank the Tank, the bonus Jonas. I know a lot about the Jonas Brothers.
Yeah, clearly.
Wow. Well, my kids grew up with the Jonas. So
literally, grew up with them? Like their friend?
No, they grew up loving the Jonas Brothers.
Okay.
I mean, that's what what's going to happen is there's two. Let's lose the music here. There's 2 kinds of dad you can be. One of them is the dad who forces your kids to watch all of your shows and listen to all of your music, or the kind of dad who watches all the kids' shows and listens to all of their music. I don't know that one way is right or wrong. I was definitively the dad who listened to my kids' music with them and watched their shows.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app. Sometimes it's the worst. Sometimes it's the best. Either way, we'll get you straight with everything you need to know. This is 3 and Out.
You know, if you listen every day to Canty and Carlin, and why wouldn't you, then you pretty much know everything you need to know. But what you don't know, you find out in the last segment in 3 and Out, because we tell you the 3 stories that you have yet to hear that you need to hear. And, Courtney, I consider it like education in some ways. And that's what we're going to do here. Are you ready to find out the 3 things we haven't gotten to that everyone needs to know?
I am so ready. I'm just as about ready as the game you're at right now, ready to tip off.
Well, I mean,
I can hear it. I can hear the crowd.
One of the 3 things is not that Travis Perry is about to break the all-time state scoring record for the University of for Kentucky high school basketball, but that's a different thing. That'll be on the next edition. But we'll start with number 1. Derwin James was ejected for an awful hit on Colts receiver Ashton Doolin. Both James and Doolin are now both in concussion protocol. The Chargers coach Brandon Staley said after the game he did not agree with the decision to eject James. He said, "No, I did not agree because I know Derwin's intent. I thought he tried to lead with the shoulder. It's a play where they obviously laid the guy out in a tough position, which is their fault, not ours, and Derwin made an aggressive play," unquote. Stanley then explained, "I've seen him make a lot of tackles on plays just like that, and I know that his target was not above the neck. I know that." When I read you that quote from Brandon Staley, what do you think?
They're trying to blame Ashton Doolin. They're trying to blame the Colts offense of, okay, make sure that the receiver, when he catches the ball, has to just look inside to his left and catch it facing forward. The reason that this hit was illegal is because Ashton Doolin, the receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, was turned the other way. He was unprotected. There are rules in place to protect the unprotected player. Derwin James is a Pro Bowl safety. He knows better than this. You have to go low in that circumstance. No one's saying, Matt, you can't make the tackle, but we all saw that play. Unfortunately, we all saw that play multiple times. And that is literally textbook material when they're showing players during the offseason, during training camp. Here's how not to tackle. This is what's going to get you ejected and could wind you up in the concussion protocol. I guarantee this will be play number 1 next year on that tape.
Yeah. By the way, Brandon Staley needs to hush because that's nonsense. Now, look, I understand you take up for your player, and I don't mind him saying he didn't have the intent to hurt the guy. That's
of course
fine.
Not. Of course not.
I probably agree with you there.
He wasn't trying to get himself ejected or himself in the concussion protocol. It was just a bad hit.
But that's a different question than whether or not it was Nick Foles' fault. Look, intent is not the rule. There's nothing about intent. The question is, did you hit him above the neck or on the neck or above with your helmet? And the answer is very clearly Derwin James did. So Brandon Staley, it's one thing to say he didn't do it on purpose, but you cannot say that it wasn't an illegal hit because it was. Let's go to the second thing. Ravens coach John Harbaugh has been tight-lipped on Lamar Jackson's availability for the Steelers. Lamar has been sidelined since injuring a knee December 4th. And Baltimore has only scored 2 touchdowns in 3 weeks without him. Here was what Harbaugh had to say about Lamar's status for Sunday.
As far as Lamar, do you expect him to practice this week?
We just have to see.
Are you so optimistic, whether it's this week or next, that he is going to be able to come back at some point this year?
Sure. Of course.
Have to see for Sunday. Of course he comes back this year. I would hear that, Courtney, as he's not playing Sunday. What about you?
Yeah, I know that there might be some gamesmanship here. This team is in favorable position right now for the postseason. But remember, the Cincinnati Bengals have pretty good ground. And I just feel like any sort of gamesmanship down the stretch, final 2 games, John Harbaugh is not going to be letting anybody know anything until literally game time when we see if Lamar Jackson's going to play or not.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. It's fine for gamesmanship. I don't hear that as confidence he'll play, but we'll find out. And finally, new Nebraska head coach Matt Rule had this to say about NIL, which if you don't follow college football, it's all NIL now. He said, quote, "If someone only wants to come play for us and play for me because of what we or someone else can help with NIL, that's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that wants to come here and be a part of a family, that wants to come here and fight, scratch, and claw for us to win a championship." Do you agree that family trumps NIL?
I mean, does family mean that you get an 8-year contract worth $74 million? Is that what family is? Because I don't know if Matt Rule's going to Nebraska because of family. And don't get me wrong, Matt. He's a culture builder. He did it at Temple. He did it at Baylor. He was a part of it at Penn State. I'm not saying that he can't get it done there, but, let's please leave all of the holier-than-thou stuff that he's saying about why guys are coming there when he very clearly took that job because he got an opportunity to get another fat contract just like the size of his one that he got with the Carolina Panthers.
If I hear one more coach making $70 million get up and tell me that it's not that players shouldn't come for the money, I will vomit. Do you really think Matt Rule was like, you know where in America I'd like to live? Nebraska. Stop it. It's the most boring state in the entire country. There is no scenario in which he went there for anything but money. And by the way, God bless him. That's fine. But then do not begrudge players that do the same thing. And if you at Nebraska want people to come from family instead of money, then you ain't going to have anybody join your family because the good players will go where the money is, Courtney, and your family will be broke and losing.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
I don't mean to be mean to the people of Nebraska, but let's be real. No kid wants to live in Nebraska. Courtney, I enjoyed it today. Thank you very much.
It was fun. I feel like I was part of the basketball games along with you.
I know. It's got a little loud here lately, but nevertheless, you were a trooper, and I appreciate it. Thank you all very much. And if you want to watch these games, they're happening somewhere right now. But ESPN Radio will continue. Emmett Golden and Aaron Goldhammer, they're next. This has been Canty and Carlin on ESPN Radio.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger starts. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021.
So I switched to Boost Mobile and got this free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone.
Why do you think they call it the Galaxy?
Maybe because the Samsung Galaxy A23 has a huge screen, and galaxies are huge gravitationally bound systems of stars rotating around a supermassive black hole.
And the phone is free?
When you switch to Boost Mobile.
Cool. You lost me at gravitationally bound.
Switch to Boost and get a free Samsung Galaxy A23 5G phone. Boost Mobile. Unleash your power. Limited time offer while supplies last. New customers only. Excludes tax. One device offer per line. Only available on certain networks. 5G not available everywhere. Additional restrictions apply. See your local Boost Mobile store for details.
Greeny.
Everything is part of the problem in Tampa, including him. He's not the worst player on their team, but he's no longer the best either. And I don't know who is because they're so bad. They're unwatchable.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
The story of the college football playoff semifinals. Will the Wolverines find playoff redemption, or will the fearless Horned Frogs shine in their debut? Michigan, TCU in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl at 4 Eastern. Then are the reigning Bulldogs primed for a repeat, or will the Buckeyes capitalize on their second chance and advance? Georgia, Ohio State in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl at 8. Saturday on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app. The greatest story ever played.
Hey, it's Keyshawn Johnson.
Yo, this is Jay Williams.
Hi, this is Max Kellerman from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. All of us here at ESPN Radio would like to wish you happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
A happy holiday and a happy new year.
ESPN Radio Sports Beat with Jason Fitz.
All hope is not lost for the Denver Broncos. Hear me out. It was just a few months ago that Russell Wilson was supposed to be one of the many great quarterbacks in the AFC West. Now, do I believe that in the last few months he simply forgot how to play? No. So more likely, he put himself in a situation, whether it was his doing or the coaching, that isn't best for him. Now, is this a big moment for the Broncos? Sure. In firing Coach Nathaniel Hackett, they now have to figure out what they're going to do next. And that interview is going to start and end with one question. The question being simply, how will you fix Russ? But there are plenty of coaching candidates right now that are going to start their book on it. Plenty of people that are going to start looking at film and come in with a designed plan. No matter who the Broncos choose to hire, the question is, how do you fix Russ and who your offensive coordinator will be? How will you handle play calling? What are the schemes that you're going to be able to draw up that will be best for Russ? Because realistically, I know we don't live in a Madden world, but if we did, if you looked at this roster top to bottom simply from a Madden sort of standpoint, the Broncos are too talented not to succeed. This next coaching hire still could bring out the best from Russ. 60 seconds, one other AFC West team that should be looked at closely right now.
Yo, Pablo Torre here, host of the ESPN Daily Podcast. When you want to go beyond your feed, when you want to get inside the score, when you want to get behind the highlight, there's ESPN Daily. Go deeper into the stories of the moment. Get the exclusive access and insider perspective that only ESPN can give you. ESPN Daily, hosted by me, Pablo Torre. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility in your vehicle and save $10 on a pair of Trico Force wiper blades now at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Don't risk your safety because of bad wiper blades. Be ready for any weather. Our professional parts people will even install your new wiper blades for free. Visit your local O'Reilly Auto Parts or O'Reillyauto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Justin Herbert will finally make his playoff debut. And I say finally because we spend a lot of time on players like Lamar Jackson trashing their playoff performances without ever acknowledging that we've spent years building up the legend of Justin Herbert, who has yet to play in a playoff game. If we're going to have a standard, and that standard includes playoff performances, then it's only fair to evenly apply that standard across the board. Maybe Justin Herbert will come in and absolutely rip it up, and the Chargers will do as I predicted and make their way to the Super Bowl. Maybe that happens. But if it doesn't, if he plays poorly, I hope we hold the same level of accountability to him that we often do to Lamar. With the ESPN Radio Sports Beat, from Fitz and Harry.
You're listening to WSJK ESPN 93.5 Tuscola, Champaign-Urbana, your home for the St. Louis Cardinals.